The KXAN News Podcast is sponsored by Shelf Genie. In-depth, investigative. This is KXAN News.
And thank you so much for joining us. I'm Daniel Marin.
And I'm Jennifer Sanders in for Britt Moreno. While the nation waits for the release of the video of the deadly encounter between Memphis police officers and Tyree Nichols, Austin police just released video of a deadly police shooting in downtown Austin earlier this month.
Let's take you back now to just before midnight on January 15th. The video starts on West 6th and Colorado Streets. Officers are looking for someone after 911 callers report a shooting. Now, minutes later, officers find Anthony Franklin, who matches the shooter's description, on a nearby porch. The officers yell at him several times to drop the gun, and several times they tell him to show his hands.
Show me your hands! Show me your hands! Hands now!
And police say the other man spotted running away from the porch was not involved. It does sound like officers shot at Franklin at least 12 times. He later died at the hospital. Those 3 officers who fired shots are on administrative leave per department protocol. And soon on KXAN.com, we'll have some of the other body camera perspective views for you to watch.
In about an hour from now, Memphis police are expected to release video showing the deadly encounter between Tyree Nichols and the 5 now fired police officers charged with murder.
And that video has been described as horrific by the city's police chief. And as Jay Gray reports now, Memphis city leaders are concerned about the public's reaction when it's released.
Today, the family of Tyree Nichols pleading for calm, with Memphis and the rest of the country on edge ahead of the release of video showing his fatal encounter with police.
We want peace. We do not want any type of uproar. We do not want any type of disturbance. We want peaceful protest.
Police say Nichols was stopped the night of January 7th for reckless driving. And what happened next?
The people will be able to see tonight the first initial encounter. And then after Mr. Nichols fled on foot, the second encounter in pretty good detail and pretty comprehensively so that they can judge for themselves. And it was that second encounter that Mr. Nichols sustained the serious injuries that led to his death.
The video was made available to Nichols' family and their lawyer, but Tyree's mom says she couldn't watch.
I've never seen the video. But what I've heard is very horrific.
5 Memphis police officers involved in the case have been fired and are now charged with second-degree murder. Attorneys for those officers urge the public to reserve judgment.
You're going to feel things, you're going to experience emotions, but know that there's always more to the story.
The family of Tyree.
Last night, Memphis community members gathered for a vigil. It was somber and peaceful. City leaders hoping Memphis remains that way. Jay Gray, NBC News, Memphis.
And again, we are expecting this video to be released around 6 o'clock our time. And as soon as it is released, we will get it up for you on KXAN.com. The Memphis police chief spoke with NBC's Tom Yamas about what we can expect in terms of video.
So the video is segmented into 3 different streams. There's 3 different sources: body-worn camera, an actual source right there at the scene where the most physical, abuse occurred, and then 2 other body-worn cameras from the officers at that same scene. So it's 4 different. It's about an hour long.
Also coming up on Nightly News, what the chief is saying about safety concerns in the city tonight. And we spotted barricades set up along I-35 near Austin Police Headquarters, where in previous years we have seen protesters run onto the interstate. Austin Police told us they entered tactical alert status this morning. According to the department, that's something that happens when there's a relatively high probability that a circumstance may escalate into an emergency situation, and it could require the use of tactics and resources other than those normally used.
Police in San Francisco have released video evidence from the day Paul Pelosi was attacked in his home. It also comes with a warning, but we do want to let you know we have stopped that video right before the attack occurs. On October 28th, Pelosi called 911. A man had broken in and was demanding to know the whereabouts of his wife, then Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi. When police arrived, they found Pelosi and the suspect both holding onto a hammer, and when police ordered them to drop the hammer, that struggle intensified and the suspect struck Pelosi, resulting in a skull fracture and injuries to his arms and hands. That suspect, David DePape, has pleaded not guilty to federal and state charges in connection to that attack.
First warning weather with meteorologist Nick Bannon.
Clouds really hung tough for most of us here today. Portions of the hill country had a very sunny afternoon, but many of us stayed rather gray, like this in Marble Falls at the Highland Furniture and at River City Grill camera. And you can see those clouds still in the picture for, say, 2/3 of the area. Those that did see more sunshine got into the 60s. You see San Saba and Llano there right now, but most of us are down in the mid-50s, setting us up for a cool but not cold night. We'll stay in the mid to low 50s for much of the next several hours as skies go back to being mostly cloudy if they're not already for you. Coming up in First Warning Weather, we're going to show you the wettest stretch of 2023 so far. We'll time out the rain, when the rain will be the most widespread, and we'll be turning much colder too.
All right, Nick, thank you very much. A new report highlights some improvements in the state's foster care system. But a federal judge today still scolded foster care officials over the remaining problems. Problems, she says, puts kids in serious danger. For years, the state has been under fire in part over a federal lawsuit regarding the treatment of children in the system. In 2021, it faced more criticism when it was revealed that hundreds of kids were sleeping in CPS office buildings and hotels because Texas couldn't find safe foster placements for them. While this new report shows the number of children without placement is down, Judge Janice Jack told the Department of Family and Protective Services she wants to see more urgency in getting that number to zero, adding, quote, "There's really no excuse." The report did highlight some positive improvements, such as more accurate investigations and lower caseloads for DFPS staff. You can read more about that and the full report online right now with this story at KXAN.com.
A sprawling controversy just keeps growing regarding top officials' handling of classified documents. The National Archives is now asking former presidents and vice presidents to conduct an assessment to see if they brought any sensitive documents with them after leaving office. Texas Senator John Cornyn spoke today at the LBJ Presidential Library at the Public Interest Declassification Board's security conference. He said anybody that deals with classified information knows you're not supposed to take it out of a secured facility. But he also expressed concern about the overclassification of documents.
I'll cite the New York Times that says 671 officials can deem information top secret, 817 who can deem information secret. There's no doubt in my mind that overclassification is a problem.
The offices of former Presidents Obama, Bush, and Clinton have all previously said they handed over all necessary documents at the end of their terms.
29 years after she first started driving a bus for Cap Metro, on Monday, Dottie Watkins will be named General Manager, President and CEO of the Capital Metropolitan Transportation Authority. Watkins started working at Cap Metro in 1994 and takes over for Randy Clark, who left for a job in Washington, D.C.
The FDA is considering a big change to who can donate blood just ahead, the move that could allow millions more to donate. But it's not without critics.
Criminals targeting people using the Butler hike and bike trail around Lady Bird Lake. The warning about parking.
And with plans to take astronauts to the moon and Mars, how NASA hopes to build on the hard lessons learned from astronauts who lost their lives in pursuit of space exploration.
The FDA is considering a proposal to ease blood donation guidelines for gay and bisexual men. Under the current rules, they can only donate blood if they haven't had sex with another man for 3 months. The new proposal would allow anyone to donate after an individual risk assessment.
You were sad. Were you angry?
I was. I probably take more steps to protect my blood and sexual health than, some of my friends ever have.
And ahead on NBC Nightly News, how the policy could change and what critics say about the proposal.
The Utah Department of Public Safety has released video showing the rescue of 2 stranded hikers last weekend in the Zion National Park. The 2 were more than 24 hours overdue when a helicopter crew spotted them and hoisted them to safety. One of the hikers was dangerously hypothermic and was taken to the hospital.
All the clouds in Austin today kept temperatures down. 56 for the high. Normally we're in the mid 60s. We've got highs next week only in the 40s. We'll show you the wet and chilly weather to come in First Warning Weather.
This KXAN News podcast is brought to you by Shelf Genie. I'm Rosie Newberry from KXAN Studio 512. Considering replacing your kitchen cabinets? Struggling to find or reach things? Go to shelfgenie.com/Austin. Shelf Genie designs custom pull-out shelves for your existing cabinets, adding convenience and value to the most used room in your home. Shelf Genie custom pull-out shelves, everything in reach.
Criminals are taking advantage of people along Lady Bird Lake. Crime maps show that parking lots near the hike and bike trail are a popular place for smash and grabs.
And Nabil Ramana spoke with a newly elected council member to discuss what can be done to stop these crimes from happening.
The Butler Trail, one of Austin's most popular places to visit.
I really like to sit out here and, people watch.
I try to do once a week.
But the sight,
it was pretty alarming seeing the glass when we pulled up.
And sound of broken glass under your feet is almost a guarantee when you're parking anywhere around Lady Bird Lake.
Shattered glass like this can be found in many parking lots around the trail. Some people telling us that it's deterring them from stopping at these locations.
It makes me worry about leaving my car in the parking lot, which kind of sucks.
And I always worry if my car's going to be like that when I get back.
According to the Austin Police Department's crime map, since November, there have been 21 reported car burglaries at the parking lot near Zach Theater and 11 in the area around Austin High School.
I think it's important that people feel safe in this city.
Newly elected councilmember Zoe Kadri says public safety is one of his top priorities. He has some ideas to deal with these break-ins.
Staffing and payment and better taking care of our first responders will go a lot of way, and I think combating a lot of that.
That's not all, though.
Improvements on lighting and maybe even adding some sort of, security camera type features.
Improvements trail users say they want to see sooner rather than later.
You can tell it kind of deters people away when they see the glass. And I just don't want it to ruin this spot because it is a nice spot, especially when you have kids, Nabil
Ramadna, KXAN News.
And this is advice you may have heard before, but it still happens all the time. If you're going for a walk or a run, don't leave valuables inside your car in clear view, especially purses and wallets.
First Warning Weather with meteorologist Nick Bannon.
After a day with a lot of clouds that kept the temperatures down, especially in the metro and our eastern counties, we're getting kind of a cool looking end to our day thanks to a few holes in the clouds, allowing for some different colors in the sky. This is the view from our KXAN studios here on West Campus looking toward downtown. You see all those clouds that have been really stuck across much of the metro and our eastern counties, but the clearing line has been into the hill country where you've had much more sun today. Going into tonight, into the future we go, and those clouds will gradually fill in for everyone by about midnight. And with the thickening cloud cover is going to come some sprinkles, a spotty light shower, a little bit of drizzle in the mix too, starting early Saturday morning and continuing on and off through the day. Notice where the majority of these little sprinkles and light showers are going to be, metro and eastern counties. I'm not saying you're not going to get a drop or two in the hill country. I just think that your highest rain chances tomorrow are going to be for the Austin metro and our eastern counties. Little dribbles wind down as we head into your Saturday night, but then showers and even thunderstorms start to blossom here for Sunday. So in the grand scheme of things, your Sunday is actually the wetter of the 2 weekend days with scattered showers and even some thunderstorms with heavier downpours late morning and midday Sunday into the first few hours of the afternoon. By about 2:30, 3 o'clock, the wet weather on Sunday is done, and you may actually end the weekend with a little bit of sunshine. So not only is Sunday the day with the potential for higher rainfall amounts, but it's also the day with your best chance of seeing some sun in the sky. How much rain on Saturday? Well, Saturday's rain is lighter, so the rainfall amounts are lower, generally less than 1/10 of an inch for most, and in the hill country, perhaps just 1/100 of an inch or two. But thanks to the thunderstorms that may hit some neighborhoods and completely miss others. We're going to find more variety in the rainfall amounts on Sunday. Some of you may exceed an inch of rain while others get a quarter inch or less on Sunday. Not going to get everybody wet here this weekend, but there's more opportunity for rain on Sunday than Saturday. Tonight, our rain chances rise to about 20%, especially near and after midnight, and it's the drizzle sprinkle kind of rain, with overnight lows dropping to 48 on what will be a cloudy night and a gray day tomorrow. Rain chances rise to about 30%, 66 for the high, so it's actually going to be warmer tomorrow, even with a little rain around. That's just the first of many wet weather days for us. Of course, we mentioned the showers and storms around on Sunday. We get a break Monday morning, early Monday afternoon, but then Monday night, another round of wet weather that continues into Tuesday. But by far the wettest day of the week ahead looks to be Wednesday. Widespread rain too, wintry mix to the northwest of us, but it's possible, a low chance, that some of you in the hill country may actually have a little wintry weather mixing in as this pulls away late Wednesday night, early Thursday morning. But by Thursday afternoon, the drier weather is taking over. How much rain are we looking at when you add up the next 7 days? Half an inch on the low end, an inch and a half on the high end. Of course, there's going to be isolated amounts higher than that. These numbers continue to trend wetter, which is good. We need the rain, and we've got plenty of days with wet weather in the forecast. Look at our first warning weather 7-day forecast. You see the mid-60s here this weekend. Then a strong cold front Monday morning drops us down to 50 for the high on Monday, with those rain chances increasing later in the day. And then highs on Tuesday and Wednesday only in the 40s. So it's a cold rain, especially with nights in the 30s, and then some leftover showers into Thursday morning. Sun comes back Thursday afternoon. We're up to 55, and finally a mostly sunny day by Friday.
Just ahead, a date many Texans will remember. 20 years later, how NASA is taking its lessons learned from the Columbia shuttle tragedy and other space exploration disasters to improve the safety of future missions. This week, NASA paused to remember those lost in the pursuit of space flights. It'll be 20 years ago next week that Space Shuttle Columbia disintegrated over Texas as it re-entered the atmosphere.
Yamiche Alcindor looks back at costly lessons learned as NASA looks forward to sending astronauts to the moon and Mars.
Apollo 1 was supposed to be the first of several crewed flights NASA conducted in preparation for its first moon landing, but it never made it off the launch pad. On January 27, 1967, nearly a month before its planned launch, 3 crew members entered the Apollo control module for a launch countdown simulation that failed. As the crew sat inside debugging problems, an electrical fire broke out in the cockpit. As the astronauts struggled to open the hatch, the spacecraft ruptured. Roger Chaffee, Ed White, and Gus Grissom died before rescuers could get them out.
The important, immediate project for Space Administration officials will be to find out what happened. Then and only then will they be ready for the next big step, moving on toward manned flight in the Apollo spacecraft.
The tragedy ultimately uncovered major design flaws, like an abundance of flammable materials inside the spacecraft. The Apollo missions ended in 1975 after 6 successful moon landings. And in 1981, the shuttle program began to deliver crew and cargo to the International Space Station and service the Hubble telescope. Over the course of 135 missions, orbiters Columbia and Challenger suffered catastrophic accidents with the loss of all crew members. On January 28, 1986, the Challenger shuttle was set to embark on a 6-day mission. The 7-person crew included Krista McCullough, a New Hampshire teacher and the first American civilian to go to space. The launch day was unusually cold, and engineers warned that certain components were vulnerable to failure, but managers overruled them. Just before noon, Challenger took off. 73 seconds later, the space shuttle exploded. All 7 crew members died as millions watched the tragedy unfold on live TV.
The crew of the Space Shuttle Challenger honored us by the manner in which they lived their lives. We will never forget them, nor the last time we saw them.
It was later determined that the O-rings, the rubber seals that kept hot gases inside the rocket booster, had become stiff due to the cold weather and caused a fuel leak. For over 2 years, the agency stopped sending astronauts into space as it redesigned several of its shuttle features. It also made changes to its management structure to improve future decision-making. It wasn't until 2003 when the shuttle program would face another catastrophe on the Columbia spacecraft. The 7 astronauts on Columbia made it to space just fine, but during the launch, it looked like a piece of foam insulation had broken off. The mission continued despite concerns from some engineers. On February 1st, minutes before Columbia was scheduled to land, NASA lost contact with the crew.
Columbia, Houston, UHF comm check.
It turned out the foam had punctured a hole in the left wing, ultimately destroying the shuttle upon re-entry. The shuttle program was grounded until 2005, and the fuel tank was redesigned without the foam piece. Now NASA is embarking on its Artemis mission to return astronauts to the moon and eventually Mars. The agency plans to conduct regular missions to the moon to establish a base camp and use that research to inform future missions to Mars.
Thanks for listening to KXAN News Nightly. You can also listen to KXAN News Today every morning for more in-depth coverage of what matters most to you.